Welcome to Uncaged, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. Today, we're speaking with Mark Podgainy. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you, Mark. Now, I'm very excited to talk to you. The business that Mark runs is one of the companies that is a bit of a luminary in their field. Mark is the managing director of Getzler, Henrich and Associates. They are a company that provide performance improvement services to healthy and underperforming companies and their private equity owners. And so many companies out there probably have had Getzler Henrich's associates inside their business at one point or another, whether they're going through a massive spurt of growth or facing some challenges. And we'll go through all of that in a second. But before we get there, Mark, tell us a little bit about you and your career.
Sure. I've been working with middle market companies to help them achieve their goals for almost 30 years, and I kind of got involved in situations like those sort of happenstance. I was doing management consulting, working with food companies, and one of my friends asked me to join his management team. He was working with a middle market manufacturer, and it was underperforming, and he needed help straightening out operations. And at that time, putting in new technology and re-engineering companies to make them more efficient and better managed was all the rage. And I thought maybe this would give me an opportunity to understand how that worked and to add some value and to help my friend. So I ended up working with him for a few years to help fix this company and change its operations, and we were successful in that. And he sold the company, and I said, well, what do I do now? And so I had different kinds of resumes set up, and I decided I was more of a performance improvement turnaround professional, and sold myself that way, and ended up getting my start in the field.
Yeah. And I actually think that is a particular set of skills. My friends that are good at what you do and work at companies like yours have a particular set of skills. So tell me a little bit more about Getzler Henrich and what you and the team are up to.
Sure. The firm's been around over 55 years, and our core business has always been providing financial and operations consulting services to middle market companies in a wide range of industries. And our goal is to help owners and management teams achieve their goals, and that those goals could be, accelerating growth, improving profitability, or they could be getting out of a real financial or operational jam where they just don't have the expertise, or there's a real dire need to bring somebody in from the outside to help them. And one of our key strengths is our communications ability, and where things are not going very well, and there's a lot of conversations that need to be had with parties in interest and stakeholders. We're really good working with the management team and the stakeholders, and communicating and helping folks understand what the company is doing and why, and providing objective information to help everybody get on the same page and move together consensually. So it's a real a real skill that we've developed over many years. A couple of years ago, about 2.5 years ago, we were bought by Hilco Global. They recognized our leadership in the industry and purchased us. And now we have a whole bunch of sister companies that we have the pleasure of working with, that we can provide additional services to our clients, and that's been a real benefit to us over the last couple of years.
So, I mean, I mentioned to you, Mark, before we started the show today, that I came across Getzler Henrich when I was involved in a company that really faced restructuring issues, and I imagine that's an area that many customers for you guys kind of come to you at that point. But Tell me, what you think the best time to start a conversation with Getzler is when your company is in trouble.
Well, early is the best time. But what does early mean, right?
Yeah,
So, I frequently ask people, what keeps them up at night? And if there's something that's, bothering a CEO, a private equity owner, a founder owner, and they're having trouble sleeping, that's a time to call us. Early is when you have options. There are things you can do, there are places you can turn to, but maybe you just you don't know what those things are, and you don't know what you need to do. You need help kind of figuring those things out. That's really the time to reach out to us when there is a pain point that needs to be solved, but after kind of maybe tooling with the ideas in your mind, or experimenting with different solutions, you can't find something that works. That's when we get the call, or we should be
yeah,
getting the call, is when those solutions haven't really worked and
yeah.
you need some other ideas.
Yeah, I need a new set of eyes to look at the challenges. That makes complete sense. Well, I mean, we are living in a world filled with challenges. We've been riding through an interesting economic cycle here post COVID. What are you finding is on the minds of your customers right now?
Well, I think, they're a little frustrated, right? The last few years have brought a lot of challenges. Everything was going swimmingly in 2019, and then COVID came around, and that sort of was a big disruptor. And a lot of our clients were able to get through that period with a combination, perhaps, of government help and street smarts, doing what needed to be done. And coming out of COVID, there are other disruptions, right? Supply chain and things of that nature. Then we have inflation, labor shortages, and those kinds of things. And so I think, and then subsequently you have higher interest rates. So there, for a lot of business owners, it's like, well, there seems to be no end to it. So I think there's a lot
Mm,
of frustration with, being able to continually meet the challenges, and now after all of that, facing, a situation where they need help, and there's frustration.
yeah.
So that's a lot of what we're hearing from our clients today. They're drained.
Yeah, they're drained. They thought that they were on the moment where everything would become easier and clearer, and yet it's become perhaps filled with a new set of bumps in the road. I completely understand what they're facing. But I mean, I think a lot of companies are going through those same challenges. I probably throw in just the accelerated pace of change, especially with things like AI, et cetera, for a lot of companies. Suddenly they're dealing with all of that fun stuff as well. But Mark, I mean, let me change gears a little bit and talk to you a little bit about you. I mean, it's an interesting space that you operate. You're dealing with people that are facing pretty serious challenges. And I mean, I would say you've got to be the type of person that gravitates to problems and wants to solve them. Where do you think that motivation comes from?
I just love puzzles. That is something since childhood. I love puzzles. I love noodling on them, coming to an answer, whether it's something that's a puzzle that can be solved in a couple minutes, or a puzzle that takes or weeks to find an answer. So I that is a lifelong thing that I've always been sort of attracted to. So I like helping companies, clients solve problems, and it's just like I said, it's happened early on in my life. I think the other thing is meeting lots of people from different walks of life,
Yeah,
uh, understanding what motivates them, what their issues are, and that sort of thing. I'm a people person, and so having a lot of clients and being able to meet new people and see new situations is feeds my intellectual appetite, if you will. So that's another piece of it for me.
Excellent. Well, someone who loves puzzles, certainly I think today's business landscape is filled with them, and certainly your services are needed. But I mean, we're moving into 2024. I tell you, if you'd asked me 6 months ago, I might have been more excited about 2024, and then, this week has been a roller coaster. One day I wasn't excited, then the next day I read a report, like an index that looked pretty good. And so suddenly I got excited again. What are you seeing for next year?
I'm seeing opportunities and potential challenges. And so, one of the things that is obviously there's a good sign yesterday, or maybe it was today. The days are running together, but
Yeah,
inflation seems to be moderating.
that's right.
It's taking time, but it's moderating. And so, maybe there's some hope for those of us who are going through a lot of price pressures that those things will be better next year. There seems to be a greater availability of people. It's been a little bit easier to fill open positions, and so a lot of businesses, you know, um, they're ready to grow, but they're constrained by their ability to have people to help generate revenue, and I think that there's some light at the end of the tunnel for that. So that's definitely an opportunity. I think with lower moderating inflation, there's a chance that interest rates will at least remain stable and not
Mm-hmm.
go up. And I think having some kind of a stable environment. We're talking about a lot of change over the last few years, and having a period of stability would be great. And we may be heading into that, but that
Mm-hmm.
sort of goes to one of the things that I think about with the potential cloud on the horizon is the consumer. So
Mm-hmm.
what's happening with the consumer? Is the consumer going to slow spending because we're very driven in this economy by consumer spending, and if the consumer slows down, that affects everything. So I
Yeah.
think that there is some risk going into next year that the consumer will slow spending,
Well, I mean,
level.
it's great to read things that says that the inflation is slowing down, and they might not raise rates again. However, as an individual who lives in Miami and spends a lot of time in New York City, I don't know if I could say that inflation is slowing down. I mean, when I go visit my local sandwich store, and and a ham and cheese sandwich is now, $20. It's a bit of a shocker, right? So, I think that probably we'll have to see how things shake out for sure. And maybe it'll balance out, but I think you've nailed it, actually, Mark, perfectly. It does seem to be such a mixed bag. It's hard to know kind of what will come to the fore, what won't, and what macro forces will do, et cetera. So I guess that's what makes it really interesting for all of us, and why we all need Getzler Henrich's advice and counsel. If someone wanted to learn more about what you and the team are up to, where's the best place to reach you?
Oh, well, we try to be as out there as possible. We're on LinkedIn. Our names are easily accessible through, just to Google. You Google my name, and you can easily find my contact information out there, right? So our website, getzlerhenrich.com, has a lot of information about us. So between LinkedIn and our website and different publications that we show up in, and so on and so forth, we're out there and available to people.
Excellent. Well, Mark, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. We've been speaking with Mark Podgainy. He's the managing director at Getzler Henrich and Associates. They provide performance improvement services to healthy and underperforming companies and their private equity owners. And if you work in business, you probably have heard of Getzler Henrich in the past, and the work they do. It's been an interesting discussion with Mark today, really thinking about all of the factors and when you need to make the call to face the challenges and come up with new ideas and new solutions. And Mark's advised to maybe call a little sooner maybe get going a little bit earlier, and then talking about really where things are headed in the future. We've got some interesting challenges on the front right now, but positive news as well. So we'll see how it shapes up. Mark, thank you so much for being on Uncaged, and we look forward to having you back.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.